Can y'all hear me? Awesome. Awesome. Welcome to tonight's call, guys. Who's out there tonight? Look, we got Mr. Samuel Foster, Miss Celia Adam Woodland, Mr. Dave Culver. How you doing, boss? There's Mr. Thomas, Miss Lou Ann Pinedo, the mother-in-law. Got to recognize that one, or I'm in trouble. Mr. Daryl Ransom, how you doing, sir? Ingrid, good to see you back on, dear. We missed you. Mr. Ishmael, and there she is from the Japanese island, Miss Akiko. Miss Pat Robinson, Miss Jones. Was that the Marvin Carter? How you doing, bud? We got Mr. Miles. Oh, there's Miss Sensational Sherian. How you doing, dear? Miss Carolyn Baker. Man, we got a group. Hey, Mr. Alexander on the Fresno team here. You're right here in the homeland. Welcome, sir. Mrs. Diane Collins. Oh, we got Mr. Payon. How you doing, sir? Miss Marcia. How you doing, man? Mr. Al Randolph. Jordan Say. Man, I'm telling you, people just keep popping on. This is awesome. Miss Natalie Parra, Mr. Freddie Sherman, Mr. Shang, Catherine Williams, and Miss Gail Wiggins. Welcome to the call, guys. Welcome to the call. Now, tonight, guys, I'm gonna tell you straight up. Get a pen and paper. Have your camera ready because you're gonna want to take pictures of some stuff. So you'll have it. I can't take any credit for this call tonight. My wife's been on this since this morning at about after coffee, so about 9-10 o'clock. She's been on a roll, and she's got something prepared for you guys that is extremely important. And I'll tell you how important it is when you understand it and you actually put it in place. It's going to take your prospecting to a whole new level. Okay, so with that being said, I get to turn this call over to my queen.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the call. So I get to talk on a subject that is really, really important, something that a lot of people, honestly, last night I was talking to an IBO last night, and I said, I'm going to be covering taprooting. And he goes, what's that? He had no idea what taprooting was. He's been in the business for over a year now. So that just shows the fact that a lot of us don't even know what that is because we don't apply it to our business. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to share my screen right now, and we're going to go through some slides together. So let me do that now. Okay, let me make this big. Can you guys see my slides? Okay, perfect. So taprooting. Okay, so here's the definition of taprooting. A taproot is a large, central, and dominant root from which other roots sprout laterally. Typically, a taproot is somewhat straight and very thick, is tapering in shape, and grows directly downward. Okay, so this, you kind of get an idea what that is now. I hope you kind of do. Well, let me just show you the importance of it. How many people do we have on the call? Let me see how many people we have on the call real quick. Let me see. And so what I want you to do just real quick, I need some participation. How many of you guys, if you could just put in the chat, how many of you guys were recruited by Cold Market? So basically, so if anybody that was a friend, family, or whatever, don't say me. Only if you didn't even know the person who recruited you, completely cold market, you didn't know them, they recruited you. If you can put in the chat right now, me. That's all I want. Okay. All right. So far.
Mr. Ransom.
Okay, Mr. Daryl Ransom. So we have 29 so far. I'm thinking that's it then. So we have 29 people on this call. Out of 29 people, only one person was cold market recruited. That means 28 people. Dave, were you also cold market? Okay, so 2. So we got 2 people that were cold market recruited. That means 27 people knew somebody. This is the importance of taprooting. Do you see how important it is about taprooting? In fact, Mr. Byron Nelson said, if you find, and this was at an advanced leadership in I think it was Lake Tahoe, he said, if you find 2 to 3 excited people that get started in your business, you should never have to recruit for like several years. When he said that, I was like, what? I need to understand what taprooting is. That's powerful. Okay. So we're going to go through that together and give an example of what that would look like. Let me show you what it looks like in my business. All right. Here's the power of taprooting. As you can see, well, this is one of my organizations. It's further than that, but we'll say, well, this is Chris. This is one of my organizations. There's a lot of in-betweens, those little bubbles. There's actually a lot more in between the bubbles. Okay, so there's a gentleman that actually came in. That was Cameron. He was actually our neighbor. My husband invited him over to meet Mr. Thomas. He came, he got excited, he got started. Well, Mr. Cameron knew his girlfriend, Miss Christie. Okay, so there's the C. Then Miss Christie knew Jesus. Mr. Jesus knew another guy named Chris. Mr. Chris knew a guy named Antonio. Mr. Antonio knew a gentleman named, or a female named Justine. And then we knew a guy named Eric who actually got along really good with Cameron Grant. They bonded very well. So he got started. So Mr. Cameron Grant knew a Miss Tasha, 14 levels deep, which is a superstar regional director. Do you see how important taprooting is? People know people know people, and hello. Okay, so let me give you another example of taprooting. Hold on real quick. All right, here's another example of taprooting. Here I am. I get started. I know my wonderful sister. She gets started. She's my level 1. My twin sister knows her best friend, Evelyn, Miss Evelyn. She's my level 2. Miss Evelyn knew her nephew, Kyle. He's my level 3. Well, guess what? Kyle knew a gentleman by the name of Matt who was in his class at Fresno State. Barely knew him, just knew him from class, invited him to a presentation. He got started. And you know, today, even though Matt has not been doing this business it's been 9 years, when he got started in 2011, we're still making residual income off of Matt's father's energy account in Canada. And he has not been in the business for 9 years. Do you see the power of taprooting and how that works? Okay, absolutely. So now let's talk about some how to taproot, and we're not putting this in any particular order. So obviously fast. It can be done even before the business launch, okay? And I'm gonna go more into detail about all these bullet points just so you know, okay? Do it even before someone has started the business. I'm going to give some scenarios of this. Spend more time with someone asking, who do you know? Memory jogger. Do it with someone who has not even seen the business yet. This is interesting, right? Draw it out. Let them visualize it. Emergency event, closest people to them. Handoff calls are 3-way, I call them in calls, and I'll explain that. And then social media. And then also finally, it's called reverse taproot. And I'll go through that, okay? So now let's go into the first one. Fast. It can be done even before the business launch. Now, who do you know? Let's call them and see if they are available right now. Let me tell you a story. There was a young lady, she got started. Her name was Miss Laura. And actually, she got started in one of my other regional directors' organization. At the time, she was an executive team leader. And she said, you know what, I want your help launching someone. Can you help me? Can you show me what that looks like? I said, absolutely. So I went with her. I met Laura. We got, we went through basically put her in the business and all that. Well, guess what? I said, who do you know right now that we can talk to? So we talked to her friend over the phone. She was about 15, 20 minutes away. I forget what town it was. Well, we said, hey, are you available right now? We got in the car. We drove to her house about 15, 20 minutes away. We shared the business with her. She wasn't ready to get started, but guess what? She became a customer of Dish on the spot. Laura was so excited that she was ready to give up more and more contacts, okay? So do you see about moving fast, like right now? And that's exactly what we need to do, right? Okay, now the next one, do it even before someone has started the business. I like to say, whatever they say, because they might say, well, hey, you know what? I don't have the money. I don't have the time, whatever, right? They can give you any excuse in the book, right? What if you say, well, you know what? Would you like to see how this works? Who do you know that is motivated and looking to make more money? Let's reach out to them right now. Here's what you're going to find out by saying that. You're going to find out, just like they say it's like an onion and you're peeling the layers away to find out what their real objective is. You will find out either if their objective is real or if it's not. But you will also find out if somebody is coachable. You will find out, because if somebody's pushing back, you're going to find out whether they're going to be difficult to work with, right? So, and don't you want to know that beforehand? Absolutely. Okay. Now let's go to the next taprooting way of doing it. Okay. Spend more time with someone asking, who do you know? Memory jogger. We all have done this. In fact, I usually send this to somebody new when they get started, but let me tell you about this gentleman. He was a regional director, actually of Mr. Thomas's organization. And at the time, we went to an international event and we said, hey, can we sit down with you? We want to know, what are you doing? You're in top production right now. What's going on? You know what he said? He said, let me tell you guys what I'm doing. All I'm doing is I'm spending more time with the new IBO. And I'm going through the memory jogger with them. I'm asking, who do you know that's a network marketer? Who do you know that's a business owner? Who do you know that's very successful? You know what I mean? And so basically he says, I might spend an hour and a half with a new person just going through their contact list. But he says, I walk out of that time with them with about 50 to 60 new contacts, and not just their names, but their phone numbers and something about them. So he says, is it worth it? Absolutely. I'm in top production right now. Okay. So that's another thing that, again, it might take a little bit more time, but it's absolutely worth it. Okay. Next, do it with someone who has not even seen the business yet. Okay. Now, how does that work? Most people might say, well, how do I do that? So first of all, what we want to do is, if, say, for instance, you pique somebody in the business, right? Because we're not supposed to be sharing the business right away, but we pique them. Of course, when you get them on the phone, what you want to do is form. We all heard that, the acronym, family, occupation, recreation, message, right? We all know that. So connect with them. Share your story. And number two, and number three, edify either the industry or the person for a three-way call. Now, I know that, like, for us, we don't want to use Mr. Thomas. Or like if we had even like you guys might not want to use your upline regional director or whatever unless they've seen the video, right? So in that case, how do you do that in that case if you want to basically not share necessarily the business? So here's how you can do it. You can edify the industry. And I'm going to tell you what you can say about the industry to edify that industry, get them to basically go on to get another name, another name, another name. In fact, Mrs. And I don't know if Mrs. Natasha's on the call, but she actually did this. She did this where she was talking to somebody, she formed them, got to know more about them. She shared her story. She edified, I think at that time she edified a person, but she didn't tell them about the business. She didn't tell them what the business was. Okay. But this is how it went down. Okay. So here's again, if you want to edify the industry, just because they haven't seen the business yet, you can do that. Versus, like I says, I don't want to get I don't want to waste Mr. Thomas's time unless they've seen the video first. Okay. So if they haven't seen the video, you're going to edify the industry. Here's how that would sound. Okay. You could say something like this. Let me tell you about the industry that we're working in. Okay. In 2019, this industry did $35 billion with 43.7 million people participating in the United States alone. And now if it's a female, you could say this. Women dominate this marketplace with about 74% in this industry alone. Okay. You don't want to say that to a man. And then you could say something like, just to provide insight of how big this really is. In 2013, the NFL did 9.5 billion. Music industry did 15 billion. The video gaming did 76 billion. The movie industry did 88 billion, and the natural foods industry did 90 billion. But this industry alone did $178 billion. Not to mention the who's of business, including several billionaires and multimillionaires, are forecasting this industry to be the business of the future, in which most Fortune 500 companies will be doing their business. Additionally, one of the richest men in the world, Mr. Warren Buffett, his net worth is only like $87 billion, not only believes in it, but has invested and owns several companies in this industry. Okay, so what did I do? I just edified the industry. I just created credibility for this industry. So as far as somebody thinking, is it a scam? Is it real or whatever? They're like, wow, this is amazing. What is this? Like, what is this, right? So here's how I would continue. Continuing the conversation. With that being said, we do hold a high standard of who we work and invest our time. In order to determine your level of involvement, if any, let me ask you a couple of questions. Okay, so pre-qualify them. Have you ever wanted to work for yourself? If they say yes, why? If they say no, why? Because here's why. If they say yes or no, you can still taproot. Here's how you do it. Great. I don't care if they said no, I just want to work for somebody else, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I'm going to say, great. Based on our conversation, I would like to plug you into an upcoming VIP business Zoom event. We are looking for a few qualified people to work with. And because we prefer to work with people who come referred rather than people off the streets, is there anyone you know that might also be looking to capitalize on this growing industry and profit from it part-time around what they're currently doing? Okay, so Mrs. Natasha did this, and she was able to tap root into like 2 different or up to 3 levels and got somebody who got started in the business. Those 2 other people on top didn't even get started. I don't even know if they saw the business. But guess what? By doing this, you can effectively taproot. Somebody can't prejudge it, right? Because they don't even know what it is. Okay, so now you get, okay, well, tell me, who's this person you're thinking about? Tell me a little bit about them. Okay, great. What's their number? I'm going to reach out to them. And then you can plug a whole, by this time, like within a day, you can have like 9 or 10 levels deep of people, of somebody knows somebody, get them on a Zoom call, and boom, there you go, right? Okay, and that's a success story, like I said, Mrs. Natasha had. Okay, so let's go to the next way. Draw it out. Let them visualize it. We are all visual beings, right? Most people, I never heard of network marketing. I didn't understand this industry. So I'm a visual person, like most people are. So here's how I did this with actually a newer IBO. I also did this for somebody who hadn't gotten started in the business, so I could get his contacts, right? So here's how it went. So I said, here you are. We're going to look at getting you 5 services. Who loves you the most? Okay, write those people down. Maybe in this scenario, it's mom, it's their sister, their best friend, their aunt, their girlfriend, we'll just say, okay? Then I say, here's what we're going to do. We're looking for 4 qualified people, go-getters, people that you want to do business with, that you know that's going to blow this business up with you, right? Who are those people? So then what you do is you draw out the 4 circles so they can visually understand the way it's going to look. And then you say, okay, tell me, who is this person? Who is box number 1 or circle number 1? Who is that person? Tell me their name. Tell me about them. What do they do? Right? And so I'm writing their name. I'm making notes of what they do as far as occupation, their relationship, something about them. So when I call this person, I can connect with them instantly. Okay. So I do that for 4 levels. And then I say the same thing below that. Okay, let's have a backup person. So now you should end up with at least 8 people, 8 people's contacts numbers by doing this. Okay. I don't ask for the number right away. What I do is I ask for their name. I ask to describe them, because what I'm trying to do is build a little more rapport with them. I'm trying to connect with them more. By doing that, by like really caring, which I am, I want to know this person. I want to know more about them and so forth. And then if this new IBO, if I don't know them that well, again, this is all the connection part of it. So then by the time I'm done knowing their name, something about them, now I go back and say, okay, what's so-and-so's name? Okay, tell me your cousin. Tell me Tom's phone number. What's his number? Okay, great. What's Rob? Okay, he works at Target. He's your friend. Okay, give me his number. Okay, great. And then, you know what I mean? So then I go back at the very end and then I ask for those contact numbers. Does that make sense? Okay. That's the next way of tap rooting and how I've done it. Okay. In fact, I did that with the new IBO and he's not really doing anything, but guess what? I have all his contacts. So it's all good. All right. And then another one I did it and he became a customer on the spot as well. Okay, so let's go to the next way we can tap root. All right, so emergency event, the closest people you know. Okay, so limit this initial event to only a handful of people, maybe 10 people max. Okay, these are people that are the new IBO, that the new IBO is most comfortable with and most likely easier to invite. These are like we call the flat tire friends. If you got a flat tire, who would be at 2 o'clock in the morning? Who's that person that's going to come pick you up, right? Should be done within 24, 48 hours. It's got to be done fast. Make invite calls with the new IBO to make sure it's successful. Get a list from the new IBO so you can do confirmation calls, and then close event with exclusivity. You are the first people seeing this and have a chance to fill the top 4 positions of your friend's business. 3-phase close, FMO, which is fear of missing out. Okay, this is really, really effective. Here's why. Because I don't know if any of you have ever gotten introverts in your business, people who were nervous to make phone calls, people who were like, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I actually had a girl that she ended up backing up because she didn't want to make a phone call, right? But these people like this, their kids, their sisters, their mom, people like that, they can talk to, they feel more comfortable with versus other people. So if this is their closest, their emergency event, it's going to be those people. And some people, they can even text message because they have that relationship with them and they can do that, and they feel more comfortable texting anyways, and they can get them to show up via text message just by saying, hey, I need you to be on this call, or I need you to be here, or whatever. Okay, and I've seen that happen. Okay, so that's an emergency event. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. Let me say invites easy, make sure I cover this. In fact, we actually, let me tell you a story real quick, that we had an IBO, he actually came to our house. He made, we set a date for a grand opening Zoom. Okay, he made some invite calls. He got 3 confirmations, right? He ended up calling us later on, and he ended up saying, no, I don't want to do this date. No, I decided, no, I'm going to push it back. Well, guess what? Before he left the house, those 3 confirmations we got on a piece of paper. So guess what? We got those names and we got those numbers, and we knew something about them already. Okay, that person ended up scheduling for a PBZ later on. And guess what? Again, we got his contact list again because we had to do confirmation. So we got couple lists from this gentleman. Okay, so that's how it should be working out. You should be getting list upon list. The next thing, let's do another tap routine. It's called handoff calls, or 3-way in calls is what I like to call them. So it's great to be used for anyone hesitant to call and or for younger generation. Okay, so here's how it would go. New IBO. Okay, so do you have this is somebody calling somebody and saying, do you have a couple minutes? And they say, yeah, what's going on? Great. I just saw something incredible and was asked, who do I know? And you were the first person I thought of. This is Mr. King. Hold on, hand the phone over. Okay, now this right here is so effective. In fact, we did this with a gentleman. This gentleman that was in the business, he was young. Okay, so he lacked credibility, number 1, and number 2, he had done other network marketing companies. So again, no credibility. So what we did with him is we said, hey, let's make this fun. I said, we're going to go for 3 no's. So I made a box with 3 boxes, and I said, go for the no's. And so our goal was to get 3 X's in those boxes before we stopped. Okay, so we called and we could not get a no for nothing. In fact, he was so excited. He's like, oh, you want to know? Oh, you want to know? Okay, yeah, we're going to call this dude right here. He'll tell you no. Well, he didn't say no. In fact, like I said, by the time we were done making phone calls, we never got a no, and we ended up getting a sign up from it. We got somebody who got started through this method of a 3-way call, or handoff calls. Another idea when I say 3-way in calls is because I know I've done this with my mom, is so what to do, what you can do with somebody. So when she's had somebody that she's basically picked in the business or whatever, I'm on the phone the whole time. Okay, and I recommend you do this with your upline because we can't do things always in person. So I was on the phone the whole time. She called me first. She called the person. She merged me on the call. That person didn't know I was on the call. Okay, I muted myself. Okay, so I muted, and she's basically edifying me. Hey, you know what? Remember I told you about Mrs. Guerrero? And she starts edifying me. Here's why it's good to do that. Number 1, I'm hearing how she edifies. Is it effective? So I can coach her through it later on if she needs to correction. Okay. Well, so I listen to her edify. Then she says, okay, great. Well, hold on. Let me see if Mrs. Guerrero's available. So she mutes herself out like she's three-way calling me in when I'm on the phone the whole time, right? And then she waits a few seconds, then she unmutes me herself. I unmute and she's like, Mrs. Guerrero, are you there? I'm like, yes, I am. And then she introduced me to the person. Okay, great. And she gets out of the way. Okay. Do you see how effective that is? Number one, it's effective because again, I'm hearing how she edifies. So I can go and coach her later on if she needs to work on her edification. Number two, another reason why it's effective is she's hearing what I'm saying to these people. She's listening to the, just like we do with Mr. Thomas. When Mr. Thomas when he's doing these Wednesday night calls that I know everybody's probably a part of, you get to hear the conversations. That's the whole idea, is you never do anything by yourself. So you can learn. That's the whole idea of this business, okay, is duplication, okay? So that's super, super important. So now let's go to the next way. Social media. Here's some social media ideas for taprooting. Okay, and we've done this before. I think some of you guys have seen this. A promotion photo and tag that new IBO, and don't mention the name of the company. Don't be all hashtag ACN or anything like that. No. So just tag that person, because here's what happens. Any person who likes it or comments on that photo, you can go back. Number one, you can either say something to them or you can friend request that person. Okay, because obviously they like it. That's a positive thing. So you can go now, you don't know who that person is, but you're indirectly taprooting through their contacts. Okay, you can connect or reconnect with people on social media, instant messenger, text, that type of thing. In fact, I saw a really great video on YouTube that Eric Worre does via text message. So he goes through and gives an idea of a text message reconnect. And again, you can do this not just through text, you can do this through instant messenger on your social media, your Facebook account, right? So this is, let me show you that. I'm going to share, stop my screen sharing, and then I'm going to share again so you can see the video real quick.
And there's no sound to the video, so you're not missing out.
Yeah, there's no sound. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, hopefully it doesn't go. Okay, so let's do this. Stop sharing. And then share again. Let me go back to the
Oh,
slides.
Dizzy, no. You send them one text
Oh,
that
hold
says,
on real
hey,
quick.
what's your schedule look like next week? I'd
Hold
like to
on,
get
guys.
together with you. And you'll, bam, you get a response. The other thing that happens is when you send a text, when you call
Hold on
somebody,
real quick. quick,
How many
guys.
of you have been frustrated
Let
calling
me
someone
Close
and
out
they never answer?
the internet.
They never answer because guess what? The world doesn't answer. They,
Okay. Here we go again. And then, where'd it go? Okay. I'm gonna share my screen again, and here we go. All right. So that kind of gives you an example. Pretty simple as far as how to just have a conversation, really, right? Just having a conversation with someone. Okay, the next one is called reverse tap root. So what does that look like? So basically you would friend request people on new IBO social media that are their friends. So that idea that I just said, so if you have a photo of somebody with them, like congratulations on your first position in the company, and any of their contacts that like the comment, you friend request them. Okay, or make a comment. They don't even have to make a comment, still friend request them. And then there's going to be a great chance you will be accepted as a friend because you have a mutual friend, which is that new IBO, right? They know them. So they're like, that's usually that's how I accept people, is if I see somebody knows somebody in most cases. Okay, and most people are that way. Okay, so now once you become friends with this new person of the new IBO, you can, it's kind of like you're doing it, going around them is what you're doing, because we all know that sometimes new IBOs don't do what they're supposed to do, right? They're not always coachable. So this is a way for you to be able to tap into their contacts, their friends, and so forth. So connect with them. The mindset is to make a new friend. You're always going in to just make a new friend with them, just like you would anyone else, right? And then once, again, the law of reciprocity, once they're open for hearing about the business, now you can mention the mutual friend. Hey, I see you know Susan. Awesome. You know what? She's actually doing the business as well. She just hit her first promotion in the company. Okay. So now there's less skepticism there. You build immediate rapport, you know what I mean? So then they're not as like, oh, okay, well then, okay, that makes sense, right? So that's something that's called reverse taproot. Okay. So now let's talk about taproot for more customers. We talked about taprooting for business partners. Now let's talk about for customers. So number one, we always talk about asking for referrals, but there is, believe it or not, a good time to do it. Okay. So the ideal time to ask for it is after you're giving them a gift. Okay. Like cookies, tamales, thank you card, maybe even at the time, like Mr. Thomas, I know a lot of people will show up at the installation where you take a picture like he did with the Vivint guy, you know what I mean? So something like that, that's the best time to do it. So here's what's really, really, you know, and here, let me tell you a story. Actually, Mrs. Evelyn, I don't know that she's on the call, but Mrs. Evelyn did this. She got 30 customer points in 1 week. And guess when it was? When she was out there giving her cookies, her cookie plates to all her customers. 30 customer points in 1 week. Do you see how effective it is, right? And for the longest time, I don't know how many years, we're over here making tamales for our customers. You know, we do special things. One time my husband smoked, either they had a choice between tri-tip or ribs. And we would take the tri-tip or ribs to our customers. And we weren't asking for the referrals. So I like all of a sudden I'm like, do you know how many customers we could have missed out on because we weren't asking for the referrals? So I said, that's it. Whenever we give something, we're going to ask. We're going to start asking. So let me tell you the ideal way of asking. Okay, and there's definitely psychology behind this. Okay, here's how you would do it. So name, you know, hey Samuel, I'm in the process of expanding my referral business, and I find it helpful to partner with my customers and friends such as you. Could we take a few quick minutes and run past a few names of other people I might also be able to help with maybe protecting their identity with Identity Seal? Okay, do you see how simple that was? And let me just tell you right now the psychology, because I didn't just make up that script. I can't, that's not from me. Actually, the gentleman that made up that script, he wrote the book. Let me see if I can find the notes. He actually wrote the book Endless Referrals. This is from his training, Endless Referrals. And he's the one who had the script. So he said that the psychology, as you can see, certain things are in red. He said, when you say referral business, for example, what it is kind of humbling. It's a humble way of asking for help. And then he said also, when you do partner, when you say that word partner, that right there, it means they're included. They're part of something. You know what I mean? So it's like we're together in this. Another thing that he mentioned, the word saying quick minutes and run past. Those are key words. The reason why is because it signifies it's not going to take that long because everybody's busy, right? They're like, I'm too busy. But if you say like just quick minutes, just run past, they're thinking, oh, this isn't going to take that long. And they're more likely to stop and do it right then and there. Okay. And then also the key word in red is might. And the reason why might means it's not aggressive. It means that you may or may not be able to help your friends. I'm not going to push the service on them. It may, you know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing. They don't want to feel like you're going to pressure their friends to be a customer or something like that. So when you say might, it takes that away. That eases them. Okay. All right, guys. So now another idea is to collect customer stories from your existing customers, either video, audio, or written story. I know some people hate to be on video. Okay. That's okay. Do an audio. They can do an audio message. What if they don't want to do that? You say, can I record you and I'm just going to write something up? That's it. Have a picture of them, tell their story in writing. Okay. So pictures and install. I know some people do that. Like say, for instance, with Vivint, caught on camera through Vivint, you can share something. Like if you have some Vivint customers, you can say, hey, if you guys come across some really cool or unique cameras, like maybe something that I can share with my friends or social media, would you share that video with me? Okay, so we actually have some from Mr. Brian, who has a cell phone repair shop that we're going to use, and we're going to post on our social media and possibly get customers, not just through our friends, his friends, but also through 559s, through business owners, because he's a business owner. Okay, and then how much someone was able to save by going through you. So you can again talk about that as well, how much the savings that they're able to, and that's something you can share. And then someone's identity was compromised. Again, here's a story of somebody that somebody opened a Macy's card in their name and ran up credit cards. Again, here's another idea where you can share this. And so just so you know, did you know, and I had no idea that Vivint was doing this, but did you know that whenever Vivint gets a customer, you know what they do? So I think it's a week or so after the customer gets installed, they call your customer and they tell that customer, hey, how did everything go? Everything goes smooth? Okay, great. Resolution, right? They're trying to, and then they say, hey, do you know anybody that we can help them with Vivint? So they're taking our customers, guys. They're not giving that person to you. They're not putting it under your team ID. I found this out later on. And now here's the thing. They are offering a $200 referral to the referring person. So obviously we don't do that for the referring person. You know what I mean? So that's an incentive. That's why I say, if you could be there at the Vivint install, and even if you can't, hey, the next day, call them. Next day, how did it go? Did install go good? Did everything go okay? Okay, are you happy with it? Great. Could we take some time right now? Because I'm expanding my referral business right now. Remember the script, follow that script, and do it right then and there, because Vivint will come after their referrals if you don't, because they are, and they're offering them money. Okay, so just FYI, that's how they're doing it. So now, obviously, does tap routing work? Absolutely. If you ask Mr. Aaron Burke, Nakota Bragg, Jeff Street, Patrick Mazer, they all found their significant others, their spouses, through tap routing. Somebody knows somebody knows somebody knows somebody, and guess what? They found their wives. Okay, right? So it absolutely works. So what's our goal? Finally, guys, to close out, a little funny here. Here's our, not really funny, but it is kind of our tap routing goal. Look at. So who is this? The great network marketer, taprooter of all times, Mr. Jesus. And what did he do? He recruited 12 people. And then what did it? Well, you know what? Somebody dropped off. It's going to happen, right? That person did, but guess what? And now it's impacted the whole world. So imagine your business, you taproot, and then and this is 2,000 years later, you know what I mean? People are still talking about what you did and how you changed their family tree because you were willing to share with them, okay? So with that being said, let me go ahead and stop sharing, but that's the call for tonight. I hope you guys got something out of this taprooting call. Apply it, use it, customers, business partners. It is so, so valuable in growing your business. So with that being said, is there anything you want to say to close it out?
Bam.
Okay.
Mic drop.
All right, guys. Well, you have a blessed evening, and then we'll see you guys Monday morning at 9 a.m. Do not miss the call. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much. Take care.